Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now to pause and refresh.
Welcome to episode 15 of the Silver Screen Scarehouse with Linnie and Lisa. And I'm your host, Lisa, and with me, of course, is Linnie.
Hello.
When you come to the Scarehouse, we'll be reviewing 3 movies. Although today you get a bonus, today is 4 movies. We may not always agree, but as lifelong film fanatics, you'll get honest opinions from 2 different sides of the aisle, followed by an old-fashioned knives up, knives down final rating. So this week, Linnie and I are going to be talking about White God, A Perfect Host, A Walk Among the Tombstones, and Intruder. So White God was our extra edition. We're going to add it because it's been in the air, because it just got added to Netflix, despite the fact that I feel like it just ended the festival circuit. Am I right or wrong about that, Linnie?
Yeah, it premiered at Sundance last year, or Cannes last year. I think it started at Cannes. And I think it just wrapped up its theater run, which of course, it's only in the major screening areas anyway, like New York, LA. So yeah, it popped up there a lot faster than I expected.
Yeah, it's a Hungarian film, so I'm not going to even pretend to try to maybe kind of understand how to pronounce any names. So it's a lovely Hungarian film, and it's about 13-year-old Lily, and she is fighting to protect her dog, Hagen. But she's devastated when her father eventually sets Hagen free on the street. So, Miss Linnie, you were very upset by this movie, but not necessarily in a bad way, right?
No, we actually, the Honeys got it as a screener when it was first doing its festival run, so I reviewed it for the site a while ago. And Kat was actually surprised I made it through it at all, because I am notoriously bad with anything having to do with animal abuse or dog death or any of it. I don't handle it well. I care, generally speaking, more about animals than people. I would rather hang out with my dog than the average person I meet on the street. So if you are a person I like and I talk to, consider yourself lucky, because generally I'd rather be talking to my dog. That being said, I started crying about 15 minutes into this movie, and I didn't stop for the whole, an hour and 40-minute runtime. I mean, there were not just like little girlish trickling tears. We're talking full-on ugly cry, sobbing, because it's not like, I don't really know what else to what to compare it to. I don't think there really is anything you can compare it to, because it's a political allegory, and it's representative of the situation in Europe right now with immigrants and the way that they're treated as second-class citizens. And mutts, mixed breed dogs, are a stand-in for the immigrants. So the dogs are forced into horrible, quote-unquote, jobs that are dangerous. So in this case, it's dog fighting. I think you get the most accurate portrayal of dog fighting I've ever seen on screen without it being actual dog fighting, and that part just ripped me to shreds. You see the dog struggling to survive on the street while trying to run away from the dog catchers, who are stand-ins for immigration officers. I mean, it's a really beautifully crafted, really elegant, and very intricate allegory for what's happening there right now. But all that being said, my logical mind knows all that, and it's moving, but my heart is just seeing these dogs in peril and being killed and dog fighting and being tortured, and it messed with me really badly. Like, it was one of those movies that when it was over, I had to turn around and watch something ridiculous like Frozen just to kind of get back into a mellow place because I was so devastated. And there was a lot of Elliot snuggling afterwards. I spent a lot of time snuggling my dog. So, it's a gorgeous film, and the animal actors are incredible. Like, people don't realize the amount of effort that goes into working with animals on set. And this movie has a massive cast of dogs. So the work that the director, who's, again, the name I would hate to butcher, so I'm just going to not say it at all. I mean, he's an incredibly skilled director, because the thing in Hollywood is you never work with kids or animals, and that's the main cast of this film, is a teenage girl and, probably 100 dogs? I mean, it's remarkable from every standpoint.
I loved it, obviously. I was not as upset by it as you were. And I feel like that maybe makes me sound cold, so I'm going to go ahead and follow that up with a little known fact that I went to veterinary technician school and did not finish because I couldn't handle the reality of working in a veterinary hospital. Maybe it was easier for me because, as I had told you before, I actually heard an NPR interview where the woman who trained the dogs for the film spoke at length about how they did this. And all of those animal sounds are actually made by a guy. Those are not even animal sounds. This one guy made all the dog sounds. So,
yeah, that's again, my logical mind knows those facts. And I kept looking at pictures of Hagen at Cannes in his little bow tie.
Oh, I know.
I was like, okay, he's alive. He's fine. He's fine. And again, like, logical mind versus emotional IQ are very different things.
Well, no, of course. And I don't know that I could have gotten through it how I did if I had not heard that beforehand.
Right.
So I guess I'm bringing that up for, the Lloyd Dobblers, those of us who are all very, maybe, I don't know if you can be overly touchy towards the animals, but we get very upset. So I would say that maybe if you do get very upset, perhaps go find the Fresh Air interview where she talks to this animal trainer and then watch this movie. Because I think it's a disservice to yourself to not see this film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's beautiful. It is beautiful. And I can't believe how they made a movie with dogs. And Hagen and his little terrier friend, I mean, that's just the sweetest friendship since Milo and Otis.
I know. And no animals died for real in this movie.
No animals died. And the way that they got the revenge, I also felt like for those of us who get really upset, and even, the thought of violence towards animals, I loved seeing them get revenge. Those dogs went caveman, and it was great.
Yeah, that was actually why I got the movie, obviously, because, the honeys, I'm the revenge honey, and, while I struggled with watching it, I'm like, well, it makes the most sense for me to be the one to watch it, and it was, there were a few moments where I considered turning it off because of how upset I was getting, but then I would look at the little picture of him in his bow tie, and it made it better. Like, he's okay. Look at him. He's in a bow tie. He's hobnobbing. He's rubbing elbows.
Well, and I think you're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Be uncomfortable. The tagline is the unwanted will have their day. And especially right now, I can never erase that image of that little 3-year-old boy who washed up on shore as these, immigrants are trying to get a better place right now in this area. So
it is. It's even more timely now, I think, than when it came out. I think it's probably going to be even more important for people to see it and make those connections to it as a political allegory and not just a revenge film. Because, that was another reason why it was so important to me to finish it, is because, people know about what's going on in America, especially now. But I feel like Americans don't necessarily grasp what's going on in other countries as well as we could be. And I think this is a great way to really hunker down and start thinking about that, especially now in light of the two little boys in Turkey. It's a lot. But, if you need an intro to really understand how bad it is, it's certainly a good way to go about it.
No, Americans, we don't comprehend anything except that, I don't know, there's people here that don't speak English. I don't even get started. But
Yeah.
I think this is important because I think it works on two levels. If you are perhaps maybe not able to watch the movie and understand that it's an allegory, then maybe you'll learn a little something about just not treating dogs as trash. You know, it works on a superficial and a deep level. And I was touched by it in a way that I was really not expecting. And I just think everybody should see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously 2 massive knives up for White God, which is currently on Netflix.
Yeah, if we can watch it, you can watch it.
Yes,
and the dogs
exactly.
they're fine. They're so happy they're wearing bow ties.
Yes, bow ties at Cannes. Find the picture. It's amazing. It'll make everything better. Just keep it on your phone or your computer as you're watching the film. Refer back to it. It's what I did. It helps. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to a completely different kind of movie. The Perfect Host, which is currently available on both Hulu and Shudder, which is our new favorite thing. Injured after committing a bank robbery, John Taylor is desperate to find a place to hide out and approaches the home of Warwick Wilson. John manages to get himself invited into the house by posing as a friend of a friend and spinning a sob story of lost luggage and a violent mugging. Inside, Warwick, a consummate host, is making the final preparations for an impeccable dinner party. He insists John stay for the party, but as the evening begins, it becomes obvious Warwick may not be what he first appears. Now, I watched this movie, I guess, God, it has to have been 2 years ago now for the first time. And I rewatched it for this show, and I think I liked it better this time than even the first time. So I'm really curious to hear what you thought of it.
For some reason, I always avoided this movie. I was just looking at his IMDb list. Despite loving David Hyde Pierce, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't care. But this was a very, very delightfully, darkly funny film. And it has an interesting little, like, you kind of think you know the twist, but you don't. And it's very smart. And they both play, David Hyde Pierce and the boy I was looking at, Clayne Crawford. He just recently was in Rectify, so you might not like him if you watch that show. They both did a really, really good job, and I was very surprised at how much I liked it. I got the giggles a little bit.
That, for me, and especially like the second time, what makes it work for me is that if I am, and I admit this willingly, I am a Frasier fanatic. I know every episode of that show. I could probably perform all 11 seasons by myself. So what this movie does is it takes that image you have of David Hyde Pierce as Niles and it completely fucks with it. Like, you see this very fastidious, very elegant, very welcoming, very friendly kind of guy, but it takes it to that level that what if there's something incredibly fucked up just under the surface? And I love the way that it plays with that. And there's this particular moment where you see these videos of him where he's taking home movies of his parties. And those visuals are some of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if it's just because it's this very specific kind of black and white kind of sinister-y filming, or if it's just that visual that we have of David Hyde Pierce turned on its head. Because you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's so fucked up.
Yeah, no, there was many times when I was just looking at Niles, and I always remembered the joke when, you know, he was dating Frasier's ex-wife. He's like, what did you learn? And he was like, well, I learned that if you kiss her too fast, and you get an ice cream headache.
Right.
So that's who I'm seeing, and then he's doing this, and it was perfect. I don't know that anybody else could have pulled it off the way that he did.
No, it's so specific because there are these fantastic moments where it's so hard to talk about without giving it away, but giving it away will totally ruin it because it is one of those things that you kind of know something's fucked up, but you don't know what it is. It's just these great moments where he's just so pleasant and affable, but you know that just all of this shit is going on around them. And you kind of feel for this bank robber guy because you're getting glimpses into his real life. So you know that he's not really that bad of a guy. And here he is in this horrible situation that's just not at all what he expected. And it's so strange. It is the strangest movie. And I'm shocked that people don't talk about it more. Because for me, it's one of those movies that's just, it's kind of perfect. I mean, I will say I don't care for the ending per se. It felt like kind of a strange 180 for me. I don't know. I'm interested in your take on the end, but it's such a weird, interestingly crafted movie. And Helen Reddy's in it, which just made me insanely happy. She plays the nosy neighbor, if I have to have a nosy neighbor, I would let it be Helen Reddy any day. But yeah, it's just this very strange, twisted, sick movie that you're not prepared for at all, especially if you do have those preconceived notions of David Hyde Pierce.
I think that might be its detriment, because even the picture of David Hyde Pierce with his smile and his goblet of wine that says a perfect host, and I just think, I don't feel like watching Frasier.
Right.
So maybe they need to remarket it somehow, but at the same time, you really can't talk a lot about it because you're going to ruin the wonderfulness of it. So the ending, I felt it was a bit. There was probably 5-10 minutes tacked on that I didn't need.
Yeah, there was a little too much explanation, I think. It was like they had to not necessarily justify it, but they gave him more backstory, and I really didn't need that. Like, I wouldn't have minded more story about John, the bank robber. I could have dealt with more, like, his story continued on. But in terms of Warwick, I felt like, okay, so it's more, but it doesn't necessarily add anything to it. Except the possibility of a sequel, which obviously would never happen. Especially now, I can't imagine David Hyde Pierce doing that again.
No, I wouldn't. Well, that's what I wondered when it was over. I thought, I don't know if I'd watch the sequel.
Yeah.
The ending is whatever. It's not enough to ruin it by any means. I was surprised by how much I liked it, and I would have liked more of the bank robber played by Clayne Crawford. You know who he is. He's one of those actors. If you watch television for the last decade, you've seen this guy, and he's good.
He just always reminds me of Gavin Rossdale. It's like I see him in things, I'm like, oh, it's that actor that looks like Gavin Rossdale. But I never remember his real name. But I guess it's better, at least I know who he is.
Yeah. They just, they both, it was good. That's all we can say. I mean, I don't want to say any more, except I was kind of didn't want to watch it, and I did, and I'm really, really, really happy that I did. So thank you, Linnie.
You're welcome. It makes up for last week in Bonnie and Clyde versus Dracula.
I don't know if we're made up.
Damn it.
After that yet.
I'll find something else. So again, Two Knives Up for The Perfect Host, which is on Hulu and Shudder. Next up, Lisa.
Let's talk about A Walk Among the Tombstones. This is starring Liam Neeson and Dan Stevens. It's directed by Scott Frank, who also adapted the screenplay from the novel by Lawrence Block. Okay. So this is not a Liam Neeson movie. He doesn't call people and say that he's going to find them. He's not on a plane. It's not a Liam Neeson movie, even though he's in it. Okay. And I think that's why a lot of people haven't seen it. So he plays Matthew Scudder, who is a private investigator who's been hired by a drug kingpin, who is our Dan Stevens, to find out who have kidnapped and murdered the drug kingpin's wife. Okay. Now, based on the novel, I'm the nerd. I read the novel. The novel is from the 90s, and there is a really, really giant portion of it that really makes it obvious when it came out. And Scott Frank, this is one of those really, really rare moments where the movie's actually better than the book. But I know that you don't have the same feel, so I'd like to hear what you felt.
This was a hard movie for me. It actually took me 2 days to watch it because I fell asleep. And not because it was boring. I'm not somebody that doesn't like Liam Neeson. I usually see Liam Neeson movies. I enjoy action movies. I make no bones about that. I love cheesy action films. I can't really justify why I had not seen this. Usually, it's a thing with my dad. We usually go see these movies together, but for some reason we didn't see this one. It wasn't any one thing that I didn't like. It was just the combination of things into the whole that just, it fell a little flat for me. I'm trying to pick one thing to kind of focus on. I wasn't entirely comfortable with the subplot with the little boy that followed him around everywhere. There's only one African American character in the cast, and he's this little street urchin that Liam Neeson kind of picks up as a sidekick. And I don't know if it bothered me on a racial level or it just felt tacked on and unnecessary. And I don't know, was he in the book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. See, it just, I don't know, that whole thing felt superfluous. There's so many characters in this movie, and I felt myself losing track of people after a while. I wanted to know more about Dan Stevens' character, not just because it's Dan Stevens, but I felt like that whole character, as well as the actor himself, was very underutilized. It was really, really violent, which I had not entirely prepared myself for. I guess I was expecting more of a mystery and not so much the kind of torture-y murder part of it. So on that level, I just wasn't expecting it, I suppose. I don't know, it was just a combination of things that it just didn't work for me. Like, it looked really good. The acting was good. There was nothing wrong with the acting. Everyone did a great job. There's one particular actor that always plays a douchebag, but I like him anyway. David Harbour.
Yeah.
He's always an asshole. Like, in every movie, he's always the asshole, but I like him as the asshole.
He was fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the acting is good. It looks really good. It's very grainy, very kind of, it has an 80s look, kind of like a Death Wish look to it, even though it's set in the 90s, right? Didn't they set it in 99?
I believe did they set the film in the 90s?
Yeah, I think the film itself was set in the 90s as well. I mean, it's
like
not.
Yeah,
it's not obviously dated. I mean, it doesn't feel dated, but it has that look of a 70s, 80s revenge film. So yeah, like I always try to at least find some things I like. I know you do that too, unless I genuinely hate something. But yeah, it was an overall feeling that I got from it that just didn't sit well with me.
In a way, I think that's almost a compliment to it.
Yeah, I could see that.
The reason, when I had seen the trailer, it looked good. And so this took forever, and then it was on cable. It's on cable right now, like every other hour. And so then I thought, oh shit, I really need to read the book before I watch it. So I read the book and I watched the film, and what I've noticed with my interactions on Twitter is men really like this movie. And so that's really primarily, I really wanted a woman who hadn't read the book to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But they took a lot of stuff that you didn't need out of the book, but then I can see how, especially what you're saying with the young man, how maybe it didn't make sense if you didn't know the source material.
Right.
I think what I loved about what Scott Frank did is the book is even more harrowing and awful and gruesome than the movie, and he made it polished and beautiful. Like the opening shot where you initially think you're watching a love scene and then you're not.
Right.
Well, that was really impressive. And there's a moment in this film that gets me just all the way to my marrow, and it's when the two guys are staking out their next target and they realize that she's actually being taken care of, and then just when they're about to leave, her daughter walks out of the house, and she's wearing this red jacket, and it goes in slow motion, and this song comes on, And you can just see these two men looking at her like, yes. And they're thinking all these things are going to do to her. And I really feel like that's a reality for women every day.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
see, for me, that was a part where I think that was where I started to check out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it was too much because I don't think it gives anything away to say that the character she's bedridden. I don't remember if it was like a tumor or an aneurysm.
Yeah, no, that's not giving anything away. I think she had a tumor.
Yeah, and so she's bedridden, and so yeah, the daughter becomes their new target, and I can't explain what it is about that just made me uncomfortable at that point. Like it went that one little step too far for me. I don't know. I get weird about anything having to do with again, children and animals are kind of my trigger points. And I think up until that point, I was kind of on board with it, and then it was just a little too much. And again, it very well shot. Like that whole scene was really well thought out, and you can tell that they put a lot of time and effort into the performance of it and the just the whole aspect of putting it together. But I can't really explain it. It was just like that one little bit that was it made my skin crawl. And
it is, but it's icky, and I guess that's what I took away from it. I know some people think I'm being dramatic when I speak this way, but that moment I feel like I have that moment in my daily life more often than any man would want to realize. And I guess sure. I felt like it was amazing that was captured on film by a man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just felt like ick, gross. Yes. This is exactly what goes on every day. And one of the killers even says at one point, he's like, people worry about the wrong thing. Yeah, they do. We should be worried about dude in the van who's targeting this 12-year-old girl. I thought it was really gritty in the best way. And Dan Stevens was definitely not utilized enough. But, I don't know, was this like post Matthew Crowley, pre David the Guest? I'm not sure.
I do think they came out in the same summer or the same span. It was that same like spring to summer period where they came out, or maybe summer to fall. Because I remember the trailers being on at the same time. So they had to have been pretty concurrent. And I just remember the other movie that it reminds me of a lot is Payback, the Mel Gibson movie, the remake of Point Blank, the Lee Marvin movie. Visually, not stylistically or anything, but the visuals, that very monochrome look to it, that's really what it reminded me of. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Maybe that does explain the gender lines, though. Maybe that explains why women are more uncomfortable with it. I don't know. Maybe it hits too close to home. I
think it does, and I think that's what I liked about it, because a client of mine had seen it, and she was really upset by it, because her husband wanted to see it, because he thought it was a Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah.
And she was like, sure, fine, whatever. And she was really, really upset by it. And she's like, it was so very violent. And then she said, you'd probably like it. I don't know if that says about me, but...
And like, hey, I like plenty of trashy action movies that probably logistically I shouldn't. That the feminist part of my brain knows, oh my God, why are you watching this? This is really awful. But, sometimes you just need to turn your brain off. And sometimes you need to like something for the reasons that you need to like it. There are no rules. You like what you like. You respond to what you respond to.
Right. I think I took this personally somehow in some weird way. I think this is a really good example of horror or suspense or thriller, whatever the fuck you want to call it, working as a cathartic item.
Right.
As our beloved Wes Craven has said.
Right.
It helps us work through our fears. And I think that's why I really responded to this. And I also appreciate when somebody can actually improve upon a written material. So clearly, it's a knife up to me, but
Yeah, it's a knife down for me. Just because I can't ever imagine myself watching it again and not in like a, oh my god, I'm so traumatized way, like with White God, which I'll probably never watch again. But just because I don't know. It didn't it was the combination of things that didn't work for me. So but split review means you should probably check it out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and our last movie for today is a oldie but a goodie, available on Shudder. Again, if you don't have Shudder, check that shit out. It's awesome. Classic Intruder from 1989, directed by Scott Spiegel. The ex-boyfriend of a checkout girl at a supermarket returns at closing time to make trouble with his mullet. They quarrel, and the boyfriend is ejected from the store. After they lock the building up to take inventory, the employees start dying off, and the survivors must find a way to escape with their lives. This movie stars the Raimi brothers. It has Bruce Campbell for 3 seconds, Renee Estevez, who was amazing in the 80s. I can't believe I did not know about this movie before. What the hell? Lisa. Sell Intruder.
I don't understand. No, I seriously, I was like, huh? Where? How did I never even heard of this film. Was it hidden?
I don't know. Suzanne knew about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those random things. It's like where was this movie hiding all these years? I'm so confused.
It was hiding in the supermarket, and it should have been.
Apparently.
You know what? This was a very fun 80s little slasher, and it had a little bit of humor in it. You know what it reminded me of was Pieces, which is another 80s film that I don't think gets enough attention.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
I really liked. I don't even know what to say about it. Except there's that. You know what my favorite part was? Is it reminded me of the grocery store that I used to go to every Friday with my mother when I was growing up.
Oh wow. Luckily, I have no memory of grocery stores from when I was little, except getting lost in one when I was trying to run Edward Scissorhands when I was like 4. I remember that. No slashers involved.
No, I hope not.
Not that I remember anyway.
It was fun. I felt like it was one of those movies it knew what it was doing, what it was setting out to do, and it didn't try to be cool or highbrow. It was a slasher in a grocery store with girls with high-waisted pants. I liked it.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's gory as hell. It has some of the best lines ever. I obsessively went around for days afterwards and was yelling at people. Sorry, my dog's about to jump off the bed and make a ton of noise. Everybody's yelling at this guy, Tim, through the whole movie. I'm just like, you're such a dick, Tim! Sorry about the anal rot, Tim! Stuff like that. Like, I don't know what it is about this guy, Tim, that everybody hates, but they're always yelling things at him, and I loved it. So I was like, I was begging somebody named Tim to be my friend just so I could yell things at them. It just... I can't explain it. It's ridiculous, and I've already watched it like 3 times. I cannot get enough of it.
That's funny. I don't know if I would watch it 3 times, but it was very amusing for sure. And Renee Estevez, she was in Heathers. Why do we not know about this movie?
I don't know. I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. It's like crazy. When I told Suzanne that I was obsessed with it, she's like, yeah, it's the best movie ever. Like, what? Why? How? What? Insane. So, yeah, this is an amazing 80s slasher that somehow has gone under the radar, at least in the honey world, with the exception of Suzanne, who's seen everything ever. So, yeah, came out in 1989, which I guess it's right on the cusp of the 80s, 90s. So it's probably that puts it right at the end of the slasher craze for the 80s.
Maybe that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. It could be. What else has Scott Spiegel done?
Well, and Greg Nicotero's obviously on the makeup department.
Right.
That's pretty evident.
No, he didn't Yeah, this guy's did Hostel Part 3.
Oh, no, don't say that.
Yeah, he did.
Hostel
And the
Part 3,
second From Dusk Till Dawn, which was really bad. But he made one awesome movie, so good on you for that, buddy.
Oh, man. Really? Are those his 3?
He's got other things, like there's some shorts. My Name is Modesty, a Modesty Blaze adventure. It's Quentin Tarantino presents. I have no idea what that is. And Spring Break 83 and The Temple are both announced for 2016. So there's like a huge gap between 2004 and 2011 between My Name is Modesty and Hostel 3.
Hostel 3.
Eesh. But hey, Intruder was awesome. So he's also an actor, apparently. So he seems to do a lot of acting, bit part, or Sam Raimi movies.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Evil Dead 2, Intruder, Darkman. This is all on his, Spider-Man 2, Drag Me to Hell. Clearly, we're friends with the Raimis.
Yeah, let's say it pays to be friends with the Raimis. Jesus. So yeah, the point of all that is we both loved Intruder. 2 Knives Up.
Yeah, 2 Knives Up. Very fun. Very fun.
Yes.
So that was fun. We had 4 movies for this holiday weekend. So thank you, Darklings, for joining us for this episode of the Silver Screen Scarehouse. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the movies that we reviewed today, you can find Linnie on Twitter.
I'm at Linnie Loohoo, LINNIELOOWHO.
And you can find me at LCFREMONT. If you have a movie that you'd like for us to queue up in the Scarehouse, please drop us a comment below or let us know on Twitter. And stay stabby.